Perhaps you have uh, heard or stumbled across Ayurveda in a yoga class, or perhaps you were studying herbs and came across Ayurveda, or perhaps Ayurveda was practiced in your family, and somehow you came to notice that Ayurveda exudes a certain ease and beauty to it, in addition to a very kind of natural, simple yet profound approach to understanding and healing the body, and that was attractive to you. That it opened up possibilities of understanding and of a higher quality of life. And so you're here today to learn a little bit about our course offerings and see if this is something that could work for you. That if it's something that you um, can uh, can study um, and perhaps do professionally, if not just personally in your life. So I want to welcome you all to today's presentation. My name is John Immel. I'm the director of the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda. And I'll share a little bit of testimony from our students before we move forward with the rest of our discussion, which will include three main parts: why study Ayurveda, our certification courses, and then details and format of the courses. This from Angela Rosoff. I feel like I'm bursting with bodily awakening. My skin is more vibrant than ever. This is so powerful. At this time of year, I want to share my gratitude for being a part of this transformative education. Ayurveda truly offers a new beginning. I am thankful and grateful for you and the creation of Joyful Belly and the Masters of Ayurvedic Digestion and Nutrition program. You have a stellar group of teachers, yourself included, and I feel truly blessed to have been led down this path as part of my journey. And this from a pediatric gastroenterologist. As far as the course, it has been an eye-opening experience for me. As a pediatric gastroenterologist, there is so much I have been doing as an allopathic physician for the past 22 years, and I wish that I had stepped into Ayurveda sooner. It's not too late, however, as I grasp the Ayurveda concept. Understanding why, how, and what should be done has become easier, and I'm enjoying that very much. All right. Well, without further ado, let me go over our main certification courses. And the first is the Fundamentals of Ayurvedic Medicine, 750-hour 2-year program that gives you all of Ayurveda's theory and builds up your clinical practice from the ground up. This 2-year program is entirely online, no travel required. We'll meet 3 times a week at different times, so students in every time zone can attend, whether you're on the Pacific Rim or in the Middle East or Europe or in the United States or Hawaii. Our coaching call times are staggered so that there's a convenient time zone for you to attend classes. In this 2-year course, in the first year, you will gain Ayurveda's theory and approach to health, disease, and imbalance, giving you all of the concepts of Ayurveda that we will then use to apply to the whole body. So in year 2, we'll take all of Ayurveda's concepts and focus on how do we use these concepts to understand the eye? How do we use these concepts to understand tongue diagnosis, pulse diagnosis, skin diagnosis, face diagnosis, and how do we assess particular disorders? In addition, as we are doing that application of Ayurveda, we will shift to greater and greater focus on clinical practice and mentoring. In both years of the course, starting from day one, you will be using this information clinically and be learning about the body, the concepts of Ayurveda, remedies, and clinical practice. That starts day one and continues until the very last day of classes. But as you can see in year one, we'll lean towards a greater focus on Ayurveda concepts, and in year two, lean towards use of those concepts to assess particular organ systems and herbs, remedies, and disease. Okay. The goal of the 2-year course is to learn to see the whole person, mentally, emotionally, physically. This course gives you the in-depth training to become an Ayurveda health counselor. And I'm going to say this for all of our courses, and hopefully you can feel this already in through our conversations and the pre-call conversation that our focus is going to be to present the information in a way that makes common sense, so you feel confident in the methods and techniques. We see at the Joyful Belly School that the greatest intellects are those individuals who can take complex topics, and the body is complex. Even if Ayurveda is in a way simple, the body is complex, and so there's a lot to know, and that creates a huge challenge, right? Well, the greatest minds are the ones that can bring an understanding of those complex topics in such a way that you can feel inspired, have insight into them, and understand them at a deep level. And that's going to be our goal in the course, to present Ayurveda in a way that makes common sense in a very usable way, so that when your spouse or your kids or your parents or your friends ask you what it is that you do, that you can speak and communicate about what you've learned in ways that everyone can rally behind, and it will be intuitively the value of it will be intuitively obvious. That's our goal in all of our courses. So I just want to say that right from the beginning, is that we are looking for you to build an understanding and an intuition through our in-depth training, and accessible in-depth training. Okay, great. So first course, 2 years, Fundamentals of Ayurvedic Medicine, which takes you deep into Ayurveda over the 2 years. And then the next course is the Ayurvedic Herbalist course. This certification course is a 1-year course with 3 coaching calls per week. And it's generally the course that people take after the fundamentals course. So you do your 2 years studying the body, Ayurveda, and imbalances. And then we turn our attention towards herbs. Why? After a person graduates from the Fundamentals of Ayurvedic Medicine course, you're going to know a lot about herbs, and you're going to know a lot about disease, because they're covered in those courses. But when we turn our attention specifically towards herbs, we are getting deeper and deeper, not only into the herbs, but anatomy and physiology of the body, and into specific disease processes. This is where we shift, and in the shift from food to herbs, we move from general principles to highly specific principles. Herbs are very specific and target, in some cases, very specific pathways in the body. And so when we study herbs, we are greatly increasing our depth of awareness in anatomy and physiology and disease, not just the herb itself, right? Many people think in an herb course, what you're learning is herbs. No, you're learning in-depth herbs, anatomy and physiology, and disease in a very specific way. So that's a natural progression. Most practitioners, after they graduate from the 2-year program, will naturally find themselves studying herbs and perhaps nutraceuticals in their general clinical practice. And a year or so out, they're going to be like, I really want to take an herb course. And so this course is there for them. And in this program, we not only discuss in-depth clinical strategies for using herbs, but also specific herbs. We will review 125 Ayurvedic herbs and formulations, all major Western herbs, and some Chinese herbs. So it's to me, a fantastic course because it it interprets all of those Western herbs through the Ayurvedic lens in a deep way, and it makes the pharmacopoeia, the materia medica, the herbs that are right outside, your back door or in the local store, usable to you. Right? So if you live in India, you are going to have access to the Ayurveda pharmacopoeia and materia medica. If you live outside of India, you're going to have much greater access to Western herbs than you will to the specific Ayurveda herbs. And also, you will get the most popular Ayurvedic herbs because Western herbalism is in some way global herbalism. When I say the term Western herbs, what I'm really mean is really a sort of global herbs because for whatever reason, Western herbalism kind of includes the top herbs from most traditions. So Western herbalism these days includes the major Chinese and major Ayurveda herbs as well. Anyway, in this course, you will get in-depth presentations on Ayurvedic herbs as well as all major Western herbs. I'll be using them and developing formulas with them, and we'll also be making medicine with them: oils, ghees, tinctures, salves, poultices, etc. And again, I can't say this enough that the Ayurvedic herbalist course is just another tremendous leap forward. When you go from the 2-year course, it will take you from 0 to a huge body of knowledge and perspective about the body. And then in the herb course, you will continue to go even deeper. All right, the third course that we offer at Joyful Belly is Mastering Ayurvedic Digestion and Nutrition. And this course is a specialization course in digestion. Now, one thing which is hard to get out there in the health and wellness industry is specialized knowledge. There are many programs that offer general knowledge of health and wellness, but few that offer a specialization. And so we created this course so that for those individuals that want to dive deep. So all the fundamentals 2-year course covers digestion, but this course, the specialization course, will cover it in much greater depth. By by the time you get to week 4 or week 5 in this course, you have already surpassed what you're going to get in the 2-year course for digestion, and then we'll just keep going deeper. So this course is a comprehensive course in Ayurvedic digestive tract pathology and Ayurvedic nutrition. That is essentially the Ayurveda equivalent of a gastroenterologist, that you will elevate your knowledge and expertise in digestive health to a level of mastery. And in this course, we'll discuss all major disease patterns of the GI from the Ayurvedic perspective through the lens of 30 major disorders, like food allergies, IBS, colon cancer, and acid reflux. All of the top 30 major disorders from the mouth all the way to the other end, and those 30 disorders will give us the context we need to discuss all major disease patterns. In the digestion course, we also have a heavy focus on organoleptic discovery of food. In other words, that we learn the pharmacology and medicinal use of food through interpretation of our experience of it. This is how herbalism was developed in the first place, right? You eat the herb, you experience its basic effects, and then because of your familiarity with the subject, you can immediately start to understand how to use the herb medicinally. When I eat a food, and sometimes even when I just see it, I was walking through a new biome that I hadn't really spent that much time in previously in my life when I was in Florida. And walking down the pathway, I saw an herb and I was like, oh, that herb looks like it would have a white milky latex and it's probably good for the liver. Just from looking at it, I could see that. And I went over and broke a leaf off, and sure enough, I saw a white milky latex come out of it, and looked up the herb, and it was in fact good for the liver. It did some had some liver cleansing properties to it, and so you develop this sort of sixth sense around the herbs through your experience of them and learning how to interpret those experiences. And that is a major focus of the digestion and nutrition course, because that's what Ayurveda nutrition is, right? Is that we come to an understanding of the medicinal use of food through experience and through applying Ayurveda's medical model, so that it puts that experience in context. All right, so the fundamentals of Ayurvedic medicine, knowing is really in the end about knowing the whole person, mentally, emotionally, physically. Ayurvedic herbalist course, in a sense, it's really about a deep dive into anatomy and physiology, disease, and herbs. And then the digestion course, a deep dive into digestive tract issues, and also building this experiential awareness of medicine, that we can understand food through the five senses, and herbs through the five senses, come to accurately predict its medicinal effects. I think all of those are really exciting offerings. And finally, we get to the fourth course, Panchakarma cleansing. Now, Panchakarma is a little bit dangerous. You're purging the person. These are deeper cleansing techniques. And so this course is what I would call the sort of postgraduate level ongoing clinical training and mentoring. This is a 2-year part-time course, 5 hours a week for busy clinicians. We're assuming when you get to this level that you already have your clinical practice and it's up and running. And so in this course, we go over the details of Panchakarma cleansing. We review all of the main models from the ancient texts directly. We'll be discussing Marma points, nutraceuticals, and modern medical testing. This, in the end, completes your Ayurvedic training. Okay, great. These 4 courses that we offer at Joyful Belly. I can tell you that in every one of them, you will see, and you can ask any of our students, if any of our students are on the call, they will testify to this, that our course far exceeds standard clinical competency levels for the Ayurveda profession. And what we aim for at the Joyful Belly School is that you have both the confidence and the excellence to be a great healer in your community. One of the things that you'll notice is, again, I mentioned it already, but is that we present Ayurveda in a common sense way, not in a mystical way. That you, your friends, your clients, people that you talk to, you will be able to communicate Ayurveda in a way that they will understand and appreciate its tremendous value. And so I hear some background there, but yeah, okay, that's not someone trying to talk to me. Okay, great. And you'll see that day one, we aim to help you be a successful clinician through developing that depth of understanding and applying it to real clinical situations. All right. We'll be developing insight and intuition backed up by knowledge, by detailed knowledge, by depth of knowledge, right? How do you build intuition, right? How do you sort of become a free thinker in Ayurveda? By knowing it well. So it becomes an art once you have mastered the concepts. And that is why we take an immersion approach. I'll say our courses are challenging you to greatness, but also our courses are made for leaders, and they're flexible. We know our students are busy. And even in the pre-call conversation, one student mentioned, "Oh, do I have the time to take the course?" And my answer to you is yes, because we are aiming for people who are leaders in their community, and leaders are busy, right? Who isn't busy, right? Are a person who's inspired has a lot going on, and so I'm sure that you do as well, and so do we, and so we have that kind of flexibility because, well, we want you as a student. We want those people who are doing a lot to take our courses and bring Ayurveda to their communities. In our courses, you will learn to work with clients. We have a special focus on that in the fundamentals course. The 2-year course will give you an in-depth introduction to working with clients clinically in an Ayurveda context, and don't assume it's the same as working with doing a yoga consultation or a massage consultation or as a nurse practitioner, right? We need to know how Ayurveda approaches clients and how to work with them, and even your business models, right? How do you promote and project yourself out there in the world is very different between each of those modalities, right? A massage person's going to promote their massage practice in a different way than they would their Ayurveda practice. And so we give you key insights into that, in addition to your clinical work with clients. All right. Good. I want to point you to this page on Joyful Belly. You can actually find this by clicking on the Study Ayurveda and then clicking on About the School. You'll learn a little bit about the level of support that we offer at the Joyful Belly School, and it's really important. I'm just going to put some highlights here of that you'll see here. One, we focus on experiential learning, right? Ayurveda is not just knowledge that you get from a textbook, but you have to apply it. And so our education is experientially focused. There's lots of at home, DIY, try this yourself and journal your experience and meet as a class to discuss it. Second thing, really important in our school is that we do ongoing pedagogy training. So we're not just interested in the person who knows the most Ayurveda. We're interested in the person who can communicate the most Ayurveda, right? We want great outcomes for our students. So we teach our teachers how to teach. And I think it was it Amy who is a teacher? She was teaching for 30 years, and she's going to know this better probably than anyone, that, you can't just know the subject matter. You also have to know how to communicate it. And hopefully, you just, even as I'm talking to you right now, you'll feel a sense that I have that I'm focused on how to talk to you, how to explain things to you in a way that that is engaging and also understandable, right? So we're aiming for that clarity and depth. We're aiming for effectiveness. We're a practical school, in addition to comprehensiveness. Yes, let's see. What else here do I want to highlight? We offer a lot of clinical tools for you. And those tools are really exciting to help you when you're starting out with your consultations, including um, tools that will help you pick the right herb for your clients and the right food, which is important as you're getting started, right? We also help you set up your clinic. We have a step-by-step process for you to create a clinic on Joyful Belly, and it will walk you through all the major questions that you need to answer for yourself to have a successful clinic. Whether or not you continue promoting your clinic through the Joyful Belly website, or whether you build your clinic and hang a shingle on Main Street, USA somewhere, we provide you all the tools that you need to be in practice by the time you graduate. So it's not that you start your practice after you graduate from Joyful Belly. It's that in order to graduate, you start your practice, right? That you know how to set up your practice and are already doing it. So that's a bit of our business training, marketing and promotional training, and also just the tools that we provide to our students, which I think is extraordinarily useful to your success. We have a lot of community building through buddy assignments, student chat groups. It's a very team-based learning environment, and your teachers will know you. We're not just trying to give you a list of celebrity Ayurveda teachers so that you can be like, ooh and ah. Our teachers will know you, and that is better. That is what we are looking for is that your teachers are actively engaged in your success. And I think that's critical. You'll have ongoing alumni community and alumni support. Our alumni community is very active and meets frequently and discusses clinical case studies. So you're going to be just a part of a group that will continue to learn into the future. Okay. One thing which I also want to say is that you really want to make sure that your school is not just teaching Ayurveda, but doing it and also advancing the profession. Joyful Belly pioneers Ayurveda research. We are a pioneer in Ayurveda research. Our students are engaged in research studies that advance the profession, and we publish those results on our website. And we've published detailed analyses of over 75,000 individuals, and you can see that in the symptoms section of the website. And we've also done research studies on hundreds of foods. Excuse me. And so we're not just teaching in the classroom, but through the content on the Joyful Belly website, you can see that that we have demonstrable leadership in the Ayurvedic field and offer Ayurveda with a generosity and accessibility, that the information is accessible to the public, shows just our belief in Ayurveda as as a global system of medicine. We're a state licensed school. You want to choose a state licensed school because those are the schools that are following best practices. Right? It is that shows that the school is well organized. Schools can belong to all sorts of clubs and have all sorts of credentials. State licensing is the only body that really audits schools and checks them for the quality of their offering and level of organization. All the other clubs that you could possibly join are essentially a rubber stamp. And so that's what you really want is state licensed school. And great. Yeah. So those are some highlights of the Joyful Belly School. You can check those out a little more in depth by going to the About the School page. I just want to point that out to you so that you understand a little bit about the level of support and our commitment to education. We are an Ayurveda school. We're not a yoga school that does this Ayurveda as an add-on or, a school that, mushroomed up 2 years ago to out of some excitement. I mean, all those things can be great offerings, but we've been deeply committed to Ayurveda for decades at this point, and are heavily invested in providing you a great education. All right, good. We talked a little bit about in the pre-call about why study Ayurveda. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. The understanding that the natural way is the best foundation for health. I think that most Ayurveda practitioners, intuitively believe that, and that's why they're here. And they're looking for something wholesome, that they find meaning and generosity in improving the health and quality of life of people. And so, you know, I have met. I want to say I have met many people who regretted not studying Ayurveda. I have never met a practitioner who regretted studying Ayurveda. Every person I know who has studied Ayurveda still loves it 20 years later. Now, I can't say that for other professions, like the medical industry. I think a lot of doctors go into, the medical industry with a lot of zeal and passion for helping people and get totally disillusioned. That doesn't happen in Ayurveda. Everyone still loves it 20 years later, and they're still doing it 20 years later. So some people, postpone it until next year because of, time or finances, and there are many reasons why people postpone studying. But I'll also say that in general, waiting for a change before getting started with your studies may not be the best strategy because things generally don't change. In fact, Ayurveda is the change, right? If you want to see a change in your life, I think Ayurveda is that change. I think you will get there once you get started. Sometimes you have to you start and then things fall into place and you realize, oh, because I'm studying Ayurveda, I have all this other stability in my life, and that is a great thing. All right. All right, good. What about Ayurveda as a career choice? I'll keep this short as well because I want to talk to you about the format of the courses, but I will leave I will put each of these slides on the screen so that you can see them later when I post the recording or hit pause. But I'll say this: health and wellness is a $1 trillion industry, and even as of 10 years ago, global expenditures in health and wellness exceeded global expenditures for Western medicine. So, is there opportunity in the health and wellness industry? Yes, there is. And then the next natural question is, well, what does it take to lead this trend? I'm not going to say that there's an easy shortcut to leading the trend in health and wellness, but I will say this, is that no matter which course you study at Joyful Belly, if you take what you've learned in that course and apply it to a specific area, a specific disease, or a specific disease and a specific community that you're targeting, that if you make the choice, because a lot of times health and wellness people go general, and I'm going to say this, if you want to be successful, pick something to be an expert in, and then offer that expertise, and people will come to you. After coaching hundreds, if not thousands of students as a part of you know, as I've been directing Joyful Belly for years, I'm going to say that the successful students generally are ones that pick something they want to be an expert in and use their education to develop an expertise in that area. All right, we have great, I'll put this in the chat. We have a really great little 5-step plan to building your career. And, you know, we'll go through all these principles in the course. So why do you need to look at it now? I'll tell you. A lot of times, what you want when you're studying Ayurveda is you want the people who love you to be on board with your decision, right? You may have a spouse or a parent or your kids or whatever, and you're telling them, oh, hey, I'm going to study Ayurveda. And their next question is going to be like, oh, yeah, so what's that going to look like? How is what are you going to do with it? Just no matter what you study, people are going to ask that question. So it's good for you to think about what your future Ayurveda practice might look like and just go through that 5-step plan. It doesn't have to be all fleshed out. It'll happen organically when you're in our courses. But I'm just saying, when you're, asking someone else to get on board with a new expense in the family, the expense of tuition, or the time that the course will take, they will be more excited about your decision and be more on board with it if it looks like you have your ducks lined up in a row. And so this building your 5-step Ayurveda career plan can help you sort of pitch your dream to the people that love you. All right. And you can see in there some tips on how to build on just how to sketch your business plan. It's not going to make a formal business plan, right? I don't think that's required, but just a kind of brief sketch of how you might apply this in a professional way after you graduate. And so check out that link and see if that doesn't help you. It's not, of course, required, but it might help. Okay. Students often ask me about licensing, and on the subject of licensing, Ayurveda is unregulated in the USA and Canada, which means it's legal, right? So it's licensing makes something illegal. And what do I mean by that? That when you license a profession, it restricts the use of it to certain individuals. Like, you can't go out and be a surgeon unless you have a license to practice medicine. Not everyone, thankfully, it's not the case that everyone can just go out and be a surgeon, right? Because there'd be lots of mistakes. Okay. So in unlicensed professions, there is no such restriction, which means it's legal to practice. Just want to make that clear to everyone. That Ayurveda is unregulated in the USA and Canada, so you can legally see clients immediately after graduating. You don't have to pass any board exam or additional certification or join any private club or anything like that to practice Ayurveda. However, we are a licensed school. In other words, most U.S. states require you to be a licensed school if you're teaching. And there are ways to circumvent it. Some schools do. But why not just, if you're a school, we should have all of our ducks organized and lined up in a row to be a great school. And so we're licensed, but you don't need to be licensed. Okay. You could see there's a copy of our license. All right, we are accredited by various organizations: the American Association of Biocharacteristics Clinicians, the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, the National Association of Ayurveda Schools and Colleges, APNA, etc. And those accreditations are great. You can register with those clubs as an Ayurveda health counselor, a clinical Ayurveda herbalist if you take the herbalist course, a digestive health coach if you take the digestive health coach course. You can register as a health coach if you register with AADP after taking our courses, etc. So you have all of these additional accreditation options through Joyful Belly, but none of those are required. That's just, at your discretion. All right, great. So I'm going to skip past these because we kind of talked about them a little bit earlier, that it's so important to be a great teacher when you study Ayurveda because you're generally teaching your clients. That's in a consultation. So we show you how to teach Ayurveda, not just we don't just show you Ayurveda, but we show you how to teach Ayurveda. I'll offer a little bit of my background, just so that you have an idea of who I am as director of the school. I, excuse me, I was very personally invested in becoming a great student of Ayurveda to heal myself of digestive disorders after really just overconfidence. I mean, it was really hubris. I have to say, was my downfall. And traveling overseas. I started my adult life as a mathematician at Harvard University, um, because I thought math was truth, and I've always desired to know the deeper truths. But also growing up in an Italian Catholic family on the east coast of Long Island, I would say that truth for me was always very embodied. And so, as much as I was studying mathematics, I was really also, intensely concerned with a sort of humanistic understanding of reality, not just the sort of cold mathematics, but the warm human heart, right? And so at some point, uh, after I graduated from Harvard, that was sort of during that whole like internet.com boom. I graduated with a degree in computer science and mathematics, started a .com company, funded it, and after running that for a few years, uh, I sort of, you might say, had that sort of dark night of the soul, and just realized that I needed something more human and than just computers and mathematics, and set out on a journey to find that. Well, I was traveling through a number of countries, studying Arabic in Fez. I lived in Fez, Morocco, for a few years, and excuse me, for about 5 months, and I lived in Bangladesh for about a year and a half, working on a project with Columbia University there, and um, and also I was studying Bengali, the Bengali language. I studied that language for 10 years, and Columbia was, ecstatic to have me on the project because, I could speak the local language. I could go to the villages of Bangladesh and speak with the people there, and do, user testing on some of the um they were working on the arsenic problem in Bangladesh, and so it's just very helpful to have a knowledge of, of Bengali while living there. And and so I was traveling in various countries, Morocco, Bangladesh, I lived in France for a bit, and just sort of trying to find myself. Well, my hubris was I was just, eating street food everywhere, and in Guatemala, Mexico. And if you go to another country on the other side of the world and just don't take precautions, you're going to get a bug, right? If you come from India to the United States and, you're just not careful, you're going to get a stomach bug, and that's just what happens when you travel if you're not that cautious. Well, I wasn't that cautious, and I got very sick, and um and that coupled with, that sort of searching that I was doing, just more generally in my life, both of those sort of came together, uh, and were satisfied very beautifully by Ayurveda. And at first, when I heard about Ayurveda, I was like, no way, I'm not interested in any system of food rules, right? I didn't want to, uh, again, I grew up in an Italian Catholic family. Food is love in my family, and cooking was kind of my art, and I wasn't about to sacrifice that. And it actually, so I initially rejected Ayurveda, and it took me about a year or so after I first heard about it till I finally realized that no, Ayurveda's food rules are not restrictive, but they're natural. They are, it's like, I don't call it a restriction that I only drive on the right side of the street in the US. If you drive on the left side of the street, you get killed, right? So, natural law is it increases freedom, right? And what I found in studying Ayurveda, and it took me a little bit to recognize this, is that Ayurveda was so natural and so beautiful that it was like the laws of beautiful living, not the restriction into terrible living. That Ayurveda enhanced my creativity as a cook and a chef. It didn't dampen it or destroy it or ruin it. It was just the opposite. So, um, oh, we have another person who speaks Bangla on the call. That's awesome. Good. We can uh, আমরা তো বাংলা বলতে পারবো, and we will, have some good. It's been so long since I studied Bengali, and um but I was just so passionate about it, and it turned out that it was a real boon to studying Ayurveda just because of the closeness of Bengali to ancient Sanskrit. So it was really a small step to learn the medical vocabulary of Sanskrit and the slight differences between modern modern Bengali script and Devanagari, that I can read the ancient Sanskrit texts in their original, and that is really important. Not to say that I'm like a Sanskrit pundit and know every word in there, but it's accessible, and I think that is important if you're directing an Ayurveda school, that you can do that. So anyway, yeah. So that's a little bit about my history and how I came to Ayurveda. Once it clicked to me that Ayurveda was freedom and artistic creativity, not a restriction of creativity, I really just sunk my teeth into it. And I was, studying it night and day, night and day, night and day. It became a really big passion for me. And lo and behold, that's why I run a school in it. So great. Well, good. A little bit about my background, so you just know, a little bit about what I bring to the school. And if I was in the Harvard Math and Computer Science department, then I'm not going to be shy on offering you a great education. I'm not going to be say things like, "Oh, we have to, dumb this down in any way," or anything like that. That's not it. What you're going to get is a wonderful, challenging, get to the top of the mountain and feel great about it course that it was ultimately accessible to you, because I'm heavily interested in making it available and flexible for people with a busy schedule. So if you have any concerns about time in the course, the fundamentals course about 12 hours a week, the digestive course about 8 hours a week. And in both of those courses, if you, excuse me, have an in-depth understanding of anatomy and physiology, you can shave off about 2 hours of time per week. If you're a medical doctor or nurse practitioner, or as a massage therapist, have studied anatomy and physiology in depth, you can knock off about 2 hours a week off of the amount of time of study. But just so you have an idea, and like I said, if that is a stretch for you, if you're, both a parent and have a career and taking care of your parents, and you want to do the course, just talk to us and we'll work it out with you. Yeah. Okay, good. I have this slide on the page right now that shows some of the different ways that people tend to use Ayurveda after graduating, integrating it into their existing clinical practice, right? Some people are medical doctors, again, or nurse practitioners, or yoga therapists, or a mental health counselor, or they have some existing practice and they're going to add Ayurveda to it. That's what some people do. Others start a private clinical practice that's 100% focused on Ayurveda. Others will do retreats or publish books or make Ayurveda videos or movies or et cetera, et cetera. And we'll walk you through those options in the course and really also ask you to let us know what your skills are, what professional skills you have, and show you how to put those to use in an Ayurveda context. One person's great at organizing, another person's great at inspiring, and all those individuals have unique strengths and advantages that can be applied in different ways in your Ayurveda career. All right, good. So we've gone through some of the generals. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about the courses so that you understand the format and structure. The 2-year program, Fundamentals of Ayurvedic Medicine. Over the 2 years, you will receive 180 pre-recorded presentations split up by week. And then for each one of those, we meet for a live discussion. What does this mean? It means that you, in a way, you get the best of both worlds because you get a presentation that was studied, thought about, and developed by a team of practitioners. And so it's better than any one teacher could teach. And then 2, you also get a live teacher to discuss that same presentation. And so you get the benefit of a living, breathing live teacher, and you get the benefit of a detailed study by a team. And that's why we set it up that way, that you would get both live instruction and plenty of discussion with the teacher, as well as a well-developed presentation. With each presentation, clinical exercises will follow, and the live class will discuss the presentation and those live clinical exercises. All right, each week you'll also get body awareness exercises. Try this herb, try this food, try this lifestyle practice, etc. Right, that's the format of the Ayurvedic Fundamentals course, the 2-year course. And I'll also mention that the clinical portion of the course includes 80 supervised client encounters, 15 buddy consultations, 8 body system assessments. You'll also get forms and legal parameters, how to run a highly polished clinic, how to promote your practice, and many specialized topics like pregnancy, postpartum, sense therapy, Marma points, etc. All right, the Mastering Ayurvedic Digestion Nutrition course is 60 pre-recorded presentations with 30 major GI disorders. It will include 90 live classes. And the live classes will discuss the GI disorder, a clinical case study each week, and the food or herb experiments, the body awareness experiments for organoleptic experience of pharmacology. In that course, you'll also develop a therapeutic protocol that you'll share with other students. So in other words, you'll pick a disorder and develop a protocol around it. And basically, that's going to help you have an expertise in a particular area. The therapeutic protocol is always what scares students the most because it's like a 20-page protocol. And they're like, I haven't written a 20-page paper in 20 years. And so, it can be a little scary, right? Well, I'm going to say that every one of our students thinks that that was like the best thing about the course when they graduate. And we will hold your hand along the way. If you haven't written a paper in a while, don't worry about that. The Ayurvedic Herbalist course. In this course, we'll take a 2-pronged approach, which I think is the right way to study herbalism, is that you learn bottom up, herb by herb, and top down, organ by organ. So you'll get individual herbs that you'll study, and at the same time, you'll get herbs by organ system. So we'll look at all the herbs for the lungs and then some specific herbs for the lungs. And that way, you're again, you're bottom up and top down. It's really important that you learn herbs from both of those perspectives, because if you just do bottom up, herb by herb, you kind of get lost. It's like, you study Shatavari for a day, and the next day ashwagandha, and then the next day licorice root. And by the time you're done with licorice root, you forget everything about Shatavari. Well, that doesn't happen with the top-down approach. You're looking at all herbs for the lungs and comparing them. Then you can keep and hold on to the knowledge you're learning about individual herbs and sort of put it in a map or a context. So important to approach herbs courses that way. And I've talked a little bit already about what you're going to get in that course. And you can check out for all of our courses the curriculum on the webpage. So you just go to the course page on the website and you see all the information is laid out there. Course curriculum, botany, pharmacology, medicine making, Ayurveda fundamentals, etc. I want to say there's very little overlap between our courses. So a lot of students take all of our courses. So, and they will tell you there's not much overlap. So it's not like, oh my goodness, if I take the digestive course and I already have studied Ayurveda, I'm gonna have to wait 2 months to get past all the Ayurveda introduction stuff. No, that's not the case. There's very little overlap in our courses. It's all pretty fresh, so you will feel like you're engaged in learning day one. Okay. The Panchakarma course, you can also check out the curriculum there. I've talked a bit about it already, that we'll be learning spa therapies, Panchakarma cleansing, classical ancient texts, Marma points, nutraceuticals, Western medical testing, and then we'll do mentored clinical Panchakarma cleansing. So you'll be doing Panchakarma with your clients, mentored by our teachers. Live coaching calls. If you miss the time, if you live in a different time zone, if you live in Hong Kong and, or you have and for a particular week or so, the call timing is not right, or something going on at your work or a big project or whatever, don't worry about missing the call. You can get the recording, and we have ways of keeping track of attendance for students who listen by recording. But I'll reiterate again, we have coaching calls available for in a time that's convenient for most time zones. and that way you can participate with a live call. Some of our students attend all 3 calls live a week, but I would say the majority of them do 2, and some of them do 1. And so if you can make it to 1 live call a week, you'll get that interaction that is important for the course, and you also still have the flexibility that you need. All right, the Ayurveda Health Counselor course, the fundamentals course, that's the 2-year course. This one, we build your knowledge from the ground up. And so there's no prerequisites for that course. For the digestive course, you should have a background in health and wellness, or at least a very strong interest in health and wellness for many years. Our students are generally in that course professionals, but it's not strictly required. In fact, in general, one of the things I really appreciated about my Harvard advisor is that the advisor didn't hold me back ever. Like I remember as a freshman, I said I was going to take this computer science theory course, and my advisor was like, "You're going to get blown away by that course. I don't recommend you take it." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to take it." And he's like, "Okay," right? He let me take it, and I did, struggle in the first 3 months of the course, but then, I really applied myself. I worked hard. I got it, and then suddenly, the clouds disappeared and it was all sunlight, and I did really well in the course by the end, and I was ahead of all my peers at Harvard. And that was awesome. By the time I was a junior, they asked me to be a teaching fellow in, teaching assistant in the department, which is usually reserved for grad students. And I was a teaching fellow for students that were in my year, my class year. And so, that was awesome. So I'm not going to hold you back. But generally that course is reserved for someone who either already has some training in health and wellness, yoga teacher training, massage therapist, nurse practitioner, just some background in health and wellness, so they're not just coming in fresh. And if you don't have a formal background, I might ask you to send me a photo of your, of your bookshelf, so I can see, that you have just what you've been reading, and and that you have some basic understanding of health and wellness before you come in that course. The herb course, before getting into the herb course, you generally want to have a good command of either Ayurveda or traditional Chinese medicine or Western herbalism, right? That you would have some professional training in one of those three. And the Panchakarma cleanse specialist course, I would say that it's recommended that you have the Ayurveda health counselor course and the herb course, that you've already completed both of those before taking the Panchakarma cleanse course. But if you've studied elsewhere, we would let you in that course if you haven't taken the herb course. But I'm just going to say in general, you probably want to take the herb course and the Ayurveda health counselor course before doing the Panchakarma cleanse specialist course. Yeah, I'm not going to stand in the way of your greatness. If you have a strong case for why we should let you take a course that you don't exactly fit those parameters, we'll work with you. We'll let you in the course. I'm not going to stand in your way, but but I will give you my clear recommendation. Yeah, great. So MID course, as I said, it's 8 to 10 hours a week. If you know anatomy and physiology already, if you have a good command of that, maybe more like 6 hours a week, 7 hours a week. If you have a good command of A&P. The herbalist course, about 12 hours a week for everyone. The AHC course, 12 hours a week. If you have anatomy and physiology, more like 10 hours a week. Okay. All right. Everything's recorded. So if you miss a lecture, don't worry about it. Don't cancel your family vacation. We want you to enjoy time with your family when you're in the course. And and honestly, you could do the live class while you're sitting on a beach chair in Acapulco or wherever you are. The thing that I like about online courses is that and especially the pre-recorded presentations is you can do when your brain is fresh. I learn best at 5 a.m. in the morning, but my wife, she's more like a night owl, and at 11 p.m. at night, she's like on fire and ready to learn. And so, 11 p.m. at night, my brain is mush. Like I'm really like my brain's on from 5 a.m. till noon. That's a good 7-hour stretch. And after that, I kind of winding down, but for her, she's winding up then. So with pre-recorded presentations, you study when your brain is fresh, and then we meet together to discuss. All right, good. We know life happens when you are a student. you know, and that's the rule, not the exception. You know, we've had a person who's, you know, who a parent died and they had to wrap up their parents' estate and they were grieving and had to leave school for a whole month, and or a project at work, a pregnancy. I mean, these are all common scenarios. And, you know, again, we've designed our program to work with you as those needs arise. Grading. We do have midterms and finals in our course. Why? Because every client is a midterm or a final, right? When you're meeting with a client, you have to have all of your Ayurveda knowledge at your fingertips because you're there talking with them, like right then and there, right? So a midterm and a final is basically just the equivalent of meeting with a client. And so it's good that you take that time twice a year to pull together all that you've learned, to remember what you learned in September and integrate it with what you've learned in December. And then you take your midterm and then you take your final. And I think that students always get worried about their midterm and final, and then they see how much they've learned, and they're like, wow, I've learned a lot during that time, and that's exciting. We've talked about that. When does the course start? The every one of our courses starts in the last week of August, except the digestive course, which starts the second week of October. A huge advantage to signing up early. Because when you sign up early, we give you access to the pre-course materials, a reading and learning plan, and you can start reading the textbook. You can start doing some of the exercises. And when you do that, when the first day of class comes around, you're ready to learn the material level 2. You see, you could take these courses 3 times, and each time you would learn as much as the previous time, right? You could take the fundamentals course literally 3 times, and each time you would learn as much as you learned the first time. And so what does this mean? It means that if you register early, if you register now, you can start going through some of the chapters in the reading. And so when class starts, you're starting at level 2 instead of level 1, and you're getting a deeper education. It'll be even easier for you. So it'll be less hours per week and a greater depth of knowledge. So in my understanding, it's like start now, right? If you can, you know, you want to do this, you know, you want to be great at it. So, you know, there's no time like today, right? I think that's the best way to go with it. We recommend students sign up early and roll up their sleeves and get and just start enjoying it, right? You do a few pages a day between now and the first day of class. You'll get through most of the textbook. And then when the course starts, you'll be learning at a deeper level, and you'll be a star student. Our course calls are generally attended by 20 to 30 students. You'll have a whole, and, you know, and with the student chat group and the buddy consults and all that, you will know your classmates, be interacting with them, and helping each other. Okay, great. So that's a little bit about our courses. Here's how to register. You go to the Joyful Belly website, www.joyfulbelly.com. Let me just log out so we'll all see the same thing here. There we go. All right, so you click on Study Ayurveda, and then you click on the course that you want. And then in the top left, you see Register Now for $250 a month. And that's get you started on the payment plan, which begins immediately. And then on or about the 7th of each month, you that's when we will bill the tuition for that month. So and then this monthly payment plan is designed so that you finish paying off tuition on or around the time that you graduate. Now, there's another way you can do it. is you can pay a $600 deposit and then pay off the remaining balance of your tuition before the first day of class. And then you'll get a $250 discount to the 1-year courses, or for each year you do it, a $125 discount for the 2-year course. Great. So in both courses, essentially 250, but in the 2-year course, it's 125 a year. All right. So that's how you register. And then once you register, our support team will reach out to you and give you an orientation. All right, there's our total tuition. So the Fundamentals Ayurveda course, 2-year course is $3,500 a year. And the Digestion and Herbalist course is $4,499, and the Panchakarma course is $5,999. All right, good. We know it's a big decision. Some of the main considerations that our students have when registering are time, finances, support from loved ones. You know, does your spouse, is your spouse behind you on it, on this? And in general, I would say that if someone in your family is not quite convinced, reach out and talk to us. I see Simmerjeet is put her number in the chat if you want to reach out to her. You can also reach out to me anytime. I'll give you my cell phone number as well. And you know, I can talk to you about some of the concerns your spouse might have. And generally, the other people in your life have your interests in mind, right? And so it's really just a matter of showing them that, you know, you have a thoughtful, planned, you know, goal or or process in mind, so that you can show them how you will be successful with, you know, with your endeavor. I mean, and there's so many ways to be successful with Ayurveda, not the least of which is just simply your whole family feeling better, being happier, and enjoying better health. I mean, that itself is more than worth the cost of the program. When you consider how much people spend on medical insurance alone, and this is like a one-time fee that's going to last for the rest of your life, it's not that much of an expense. And in general, I always think the time is, you know, is the biggest investment that you're putting in the course, not the money, right? In the end, of course, $6,999. It's, you know, it's a lot of money, naturally, but in the grand scheme of things, the greatest investment is your time. You know, you will earn back the $7,000 pretty easily just in your own health improvement. You know, even if you never practice professionally, but and then if you do practice professionally, $7,000 is not a lot of money, but your time, and you know, is probably the bigger part of the investment. But it doesn't feel like a lot of time when you enjoy it, right? So anyway, yeah, those are the things that people think about: time, finances, support from loved ones, career planning, and I'm always happy to discuss any of those with you. So feel free to reach out anytime. And Simmerjeet, who is an enrollment advisor at Joyful Belly, is also available to talk with you. Simmerjeet is also a student, and she's in our courses, so she can, you know, tell you about what it's like to be in a Joyful Belly course. All right, let's see. Good. I think we've gone through most of this. You can go to the school tab on the website. I've already showed you that, which is this one here. You can, by the way, you can see all the links up here for additional particular topics, and you can click the About the School link as well for more information. So this has been an introduction to Joyful Belly's Ayurvedic certification courses, both why study Ayurveda, and also some of the considerations to thinking about Ayurveda and approaching the school, and also the particular courses that we offer. There is no in-person requirement in any of our courses. We and that's always a very interesting thing, right? Because sometimes there may be that sentiment or thought of like, oh, are we missing something because of an online course? And I'll speak to that for a minute, because I think it's important. When you're in a in-person program, you may be 40 feet from the teacher, and the teacher may be meeting with a client. I mean, I've been in this situation a number of times where I am in an in-person, clinical setting, and there's 40 students, and I'm in the third row, and the teacher's 10 feet from the first row. And so I'm about like 40 feet away from the client, and the client sticks out their tongue, and I can see that the client has a tongue, but that's it. That's all I can really see, right? In an online class, I can take a picture of a client's tongue and magnify it on the screen, and you could see it better than you could with your eyeball. I mean, in fact, I do this with my clients. I will take a picture of their tongue and then show it on my computer screen so that I can see it better, and the client's not standing there with my eyeball in their mouth, and the client can see their tongue, and we can just talk about it. And so when we started Joyful Belly as an online school, 15 years ago, we started as an online school with the aim that it was an improvement in education. And you see this in the classes, and also that we could bring together students and teachers from all around the world, right? Like, how do you get great teachers if your teachers have to live in your exact town in order to be a teacher? Well, I think that we can be a real, nexus point for bringing teachers and students together and offer a much more richer experience through multimedia than you could in a live classroom setting. Now, in your clinical mentoring and practice, what you're going to do is you're going to meet your clients in person. That's important. You meet your clients in person, and then you share your findings with your teacher, mentor. So you will be meeting with your clients in person. I think that's important. But a classroom that's in person is not necessarily more personal. That doesn't meeting with clients is more personal in person, but meeting as a classroom is not necessarily more personal just because it's in person. Sometimes you're really far away from the teacher, and that is not a more intimate experience. So, Amy, that's just a note about that. I think it is. I think online education does offer a richer experience, and I think that there's even great scientific data to support that. But yeah, and you're going to be tasting herbs at home. Amy, you're bringing that up, dealing with the herbs, tasting the herbs, doing the body awareness experience, eating the food. I mean, that is no different than an in-person class. If you're in an in-person class and they say, we're going to experiment with poultices this week, what are you going to do? You're going to go home and make a poultice and put it on you, right? And that is just literally no different. Same thing with learning the pulse. You can't feel what another person is feeling when they put, when the pulse is a very individualistic thing, right? Like, you have to touch people's arm and take their pulse. And that's what you're going to do when you're learning the pulse. You're going to take your own pulse every day, actually, and then you're going to take the pulse of friends, colleagues at work, or wherever. You just you got to ask people to take their pulse, and the more people's pulses you take, the better you will be at the pulse. That's just exactly how you would do it if you're learning pulse in person, because the teacher is not going to have 40 people take the client's pulse. That would take the entire class. So that just doesn't happen in an in-person classroom. It's literally the same, if not, more of an experiential program at Joyful Belly than you would get in an in-person program. Yeah. Good. Any other questions that anyone has? I want to thank you all for coming to today's presentation. And I think it's always important to remember, it's not just that disease is contagious, health is contagious. As you come to understand health and how to be in the world, how to relate in the natural world around you and balance your body, that radiates outward. People see that there's something special about your balance, about your health, and they want that, and they want to talk about it too, and that's very exciting. So no matter what, even just from what you learned today, and hopefully you learned a few things today, not just about our courses, but even some perspective about Ayurveda. I think it's important to always be teaching. I love teaching. Teaching's a calling, right? Calling for me, and a labor of love, and all that. And hopefully you feel that. But as you if you learned anything today, it'll naturally be with you always, right? You'll have that knowledge, you'll share it, and so even just from our discussion today, hopefully some little tips here and there will radiate outward, and that you'll share it with others. So I just want to thank you again for your interest in your body, in health, in Ayurveda, and in the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And I'll take any questions that anyone has. Any questions? Oh, good. So Amy's asking, I live in Hong Kong. How do I establish my clients or business here? So I can't say, Amy, that I have specific knowledge of how to promote yourself in the culture or legal setting of Hong Kong. But what I can say is something about what I've already said before, is that whether you're a medical doctor or whether you're an Ayurveda practitioner or or whether you are in another profession entirely, there are some general principles to establishing a following. And one of those things to is to solve a specific person's is to solve a specific kind of problem, right? So when clients are thinking when your clients in general aren't waking up in the morning and saying, oh, I've got to see an Ayurveda practitioner today. They wake up in the morning and they say things like, my stomach hurts. How do I fix this? Right. And so when you are reaching out to clients, you want to reach out with their language. So you're not going to say like, I am an awesome, inspiring Ayurvedic healer, right? That's not how you're going to reach out to them. What you're going to say is, I fix stomach pain, right? That's what your marketing is going to look like. You're going to say, I fix stomach pain. And then if a person has stomach pain, they are going to take a second look at that sign, right? They're walking down the road, they see a simple billboard, or they're looking at a newsletter, or they see a flyer and it says, I fix stomach pain on it. Well, if you've got stomach pain, you're going to walk over to that flyer and and then underneath it, it's going to say, Amy, Ayurveda practitioner, uses natural, holistic, etc. to heal stomach pain. My entire practice focuses on stomach pain. That person's going to be like, oh, maybe I should talk to that person. Like, this is all she does. She focuses on my problem. How could I go wrong? Like, am I going to be wasting my money? It's a $90 session to sit with Amy. Am I going to lose my money? How could I lose my money, right? Like, I'm in pain every day. It's costing me maybe $90 a day just because of, interruptions to work because of my stomach pain, right? It is a small price to pay compared to the cost of being sick. I think I'm just gonna give her a try. Like, I don't even know if she's great or if she's not that great, but I'm gonna give her a try because I really don't have that much to lose. She specializes in this, right? That's the kind of process that is highly convincing to a client, right? Where they don't have to like know whether or not you're Deepak Chopra or, Josh Axe or something like Dr. Axe, right? Like, you're not trying to outdo Dr. Axe. You're just trying to convince a person that you have that you are passionate about fixing their particular problem. And once you do that, they respond. And they don't scrutinize you to the same degree as if you were like, I'm a general practitioner, I know a lot about everything. Oh, well, do you know a lot about everything? Do you know about my disease? And they're going to check you out, right? And they might find you deficient. But if you are specializing in something, they're going to be like, oh, I can't go wrong, I should try them out. And that's the kind of thing you want. You want to make it irresistible to them. So, Amy, that would be, just my sort of 2 cents in how to pitch an Ayurveda service, is that you're not pitching Ayurveda at all. You're pitching that you care about their particular problem.
Yes, thanks so much. Yeah, it makes yeah, complete sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
understand.
and it's so important to say that up front now because you can just start the wheels turning. Like, you don't need to answer what your particular problem you're going to try to solve today, right? That's not necessary. But just have it in the back of your head that what's compelling to a client is your advertisement that talks about their problem. And so as you're going through the course or whatever, maybe a light bulb will go off and you're like, that's what I'm going to do. But already you can begin just thinking about it.
Right. Yeah, understand. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I had one more question. Just wanted this, it's in just thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
So are you using like traditional Ayurveda texts, or what kind of texts are you using for this course?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So the fundamentals course, in general, the course content is the pre-recorded presentations. We do offer recommended reading and 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 point the student towards a number of other textbooks. But I'm gonna say that um the classical textbooks are really in Sanskrit, and the translations of them are kind of half Sanskrit themselves. So, like, I bought this Panchakarma book last week, and you open it up, and it's like 50% Sanskrit, right? And so it doesn't quite work for new students to use classical texts, even the translations of them, because of just the sheer amount of Sanskrit words in them. So there are some textbooks that are in English and perfectly fine English at that, but they're very mystical. And so those don't really help you understand Ayurveda. They kind of are poetic and even very spiritual, and you read them and you might find them inspiring, but then when you're sitting with a client, you're like, okay, now what do I do? Right? And so we do recommend various books in the course and give you a bibliography, but is not a required reading in the fundamentals to your course or in the digestion course, simply because the quality isn't there yet in those books. So recommended and very helpful to have as a kind of backup, but not the main content of the course.
Okay, great. I understand. Yes. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yeah. I see one person's coming in that missed most of the presentation, but I will send out the recording. Oh, good. And I see one person's direct messaging me that they're going to send me a picture of their bookshelf. Awesome. I'm excited to see it.
Okay.
And any questions that you have about the fit for the course or anything like that, I'm more than happy to meet with you. And also, I'm going to say this, that at this, at this stage in the course, you have a lot of time to ramp up too, right? So if you've had, um, anecdotal experience of Ayurveda, in your life, or even if you don't have that much Ayurveda experience, you have time to read one of those textbooks, right? Like the textbook may be a little bit mystical and not exactly clinical, but if you read through it before the first day of class, again, you'll be starting your education at level 2 instead of level 1, and you'll more than make up for any gap with what you um with a lack of formal health background. So yeah, so you just have that time. Whereas like if you register, the week before class starts, you're kind of um you're in the position of catch up instead of being proactive and doing what you need to be prepped. Simmerjeet is again reaching out with uh, her her number if any of you have any more question about the course. All right. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to reach out if you have any further questions. And look forward to seeing you in class someday. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.